And we're back for what could be our final game of the night, at least if DK has anything to say about it. Vici, though, they're thinking we need at least one more. As they dropped game one, DK able to capitalize on Vici Gaming's hesitancy in the mid-game and now ready to shut the door and take themselves from what was a rather disappointing fourth-place finish in the overall group standings and put themselves in contention against IG in our grand finals for the East playoffs. It'll be on the way tomorrow, kicking off at 5 p.m. Winner of this series, whichever team it is, will be matching up against them. Winner of that goes to Vegas. And don't forget Thursday, that'll be Fnatic taking on Team Liquid with the same stakes on the line, ready to punch their tickets to our grand finals at Caesars Palace and join Alliance and LGD China in the process. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. As you can see, the draft already underway. Vici snags up the Clockwork and the Rubik. Timbersaw adds the Timbersaw? How about DK adds Timbersaw and Crystal Maiden to their own mix so far to break down the draft and lend his insight and analysis. Welcome in again, Ben Merlini-Wu, and I am so tired I almost forgot your name, despite the fact that I've said it 50 times today alone. Welcome in, brother.
5 seconds remaining.
Hey, how's it going? And I think that Vici actually does have a problem closing out games versus DK. I did watch the first game in their best of 3 versus DK the other day, and they kind of just let DK get back into the game, even after a 10 to 15k gold advantage. Although Vici did end up winning the game, it still makes me question Vici's mid to late game closing out skills, and that is something that some teams struggle with. LGDN also has struggled with that, and just, I mean, they do have the early game, like one of the best early games in the Eastern scene, and as it showed last game, but they just weren't able to translate that into the win.
Absolutely, and that's kind of where the experience of players like Mushi, like Burning, I mean, hell, pretty much everyone on DK has such an immense amount of experience. You simply can't overestimate it, but they've had their own troubles in terms of performing when the pressure was on, and we saw them get behind against Togfu in their first series of the night. And again, this is all elimination. You run the bubble race series. Every single series is an elimination match. But I think you make a great point. Vici, whenever I think back on their performance throughout the group stage, I mean, they finished fairly well. They finished in third seed, so it wasn't like they set the world absolutely ablaze, but certainly finished ahead of where I think a lot of folks would have expected to. In fact, many would have expected DK to finish considerably higher than where they did. But when we saw Vici have success, it was almost always because they closed the game out after a huge early and mid game, and they would be ready to basically put a cherry on it right around 30 to 35 minutes in. And DK taking advantage of their inability to do so. And, that had a lot to do with composition, but also, again, Vici just hesitating, not pulling the trigger, maybe waiting one big item too long before they tried to make things happen. And then they had that disastrous fight where they tried to crack the tier 3 on bottom, and DK never looked back from there. But Vici going to be looking to get back in form. The Clockwork and Rubik pickups certainly give them some early options. DK, though, with Timbersaw really is just such a nice anchor unit. You can do so much with him. He can be a tough hero to crack. He can be of some pretty considerable usefulness in cracking tier 3s, being able to timber chain onto trees on the high ground and start fights that way. So both teams very wide open in their options so far.
Yep, Timbersaw, very good pickup. Clockwork, very good pickup too. Clockwork, I think I saw one game today where it wasn't really useful, but other than that, he just seems to consistently do very, very well.
Oh, yeah, and Clock's one of those heroes that, I mean, there was a time when he was completely out of vogue, and you have to go back between TI 2012 and TI 2013 to see that, but since that time, he kind of rose from a situational pick to a hero that pretty much every team knows how to run just because he is so versatile. And if you're not sure of how you want to start out, if you're in a situation where Vici is right now, Clock does so well at being both offensive and defensive, you can't really go wrong with him so long as you've got a talented player to handle him, and they certainly do. They have a number of players that can actually play him fairly effectively. So second ban phase finally reaches its conclusion. They ban out the Kunkka and the OD, so they fear DK coming out with punching power in the early to mid game, and DK getting rid of the Luna and the Dragon Knights, so not wanting to give Vici a lot of those heroes that can come to fights early, can push early, but can transition into the late game. And this is where things get interesting. I really want to see more than anything how Vici approaches this. They're going to go ahead and grab another support in the Nyx Assassin, but how all in is Vici going to put themselves in the mid game? Are they going to capitalize on that strength that perhaps the sacrifice of the late game, which is where DK shines a bit more than Vici, and vice versa? Or are they just going to go ahead and pick a well-rounded lineup and try to beat DK at their own game?
I think pick a well-rounded lineup and beat them at their own game, considering they kind of beat DK in the early game last game. It was just yeah, pretty much unable to close out. So I think if they just pick a very similar lineup to what DK has, they can just execute a tad bit better and win out the game. It is rather risky from them, but at the same time, their early game play, their team fight, their movement, and generally in the early game is very, very phenomenal.
Well, the movement up at least going to be there. Nyx Assassin and Rubik both can get active very early. And, you know, it's been interesting to watch Nyx Assassin. We saw post 6.79, that hero fell off really hard for a little while there, but he's made quite a comeback. You're beginning to see a lot of heroes, or excuse me, a lot of teams pick the hero up. Usually, if they need a nice support who can cause problems, for a hero like a Timbersaw is a good example, any AoE-centric hero, and beginning to see them pick him up very often in the second phase. You don't see him banned nearly as often. So DK, speaking of AoE, going to have a hell of a lot of it with the Timbersaw and the Gyrocopter in particular, but especially the Crystal Maiden. And, you know, depending on what they want to do here, they could even fit a Darkseer into this, and it could get ugly really quick.
That Nyx Assassin, though, pretty key hero from Vici. At the same time, it is not that easy to execute, and Moo played a very phenomenal one. I'm not sure if Vici is going to be able to execute it that well, and it's not that great versus DK's lineup. It's like best versus int heroes like Storm Spirit, etc. OD, but can they actually translate that into a really, really useful pick? Because their supports were kind of dead weight, 30 to 40 minutes in. And Nyx Assassin is one that can be very useful at that point in time, but only if it gets off to a decent start.
Yeah, very much agree. And I'm waiting to see if DK is actually going to do this. Something else that a Darkseer pickup would give them the option to do if they really wanted to is you can often see Clockwork teams that draft a Clockwork early and begin to build a lineup around it, as Vici has done here. You can actually see that have completely turned around on them if they're vacuumed into their own Clockwork's cogs. And that's always an interesting option. That's always fun to see, especially whenever you already have so much AoE, again, that can be poured out in such a small amount of space between cooldown and the Chakram. But nope, they're going to go ahead and grab the puck. Was going to say the Darkseer most likely to end up mid in that situation. So the Timbersaw will probably be in a solo lane situation one way or the other. And we'll see what other support they want to add into their lineup. But again, very AoE-centric. And Vici, I think the name of the game for them is going to be rotation and reach. Clockwork and Storm Spirit, really none better in the business in those terms.
Yeah, I think that Puck's a really good pickup here because they need something that can get them jump on Vici. Because as it stands right now, they have the Clockwork initiate, they have the Nyx initiate, they have the Storm Spirit initiate, and if DK doesn't have a response to that, they're just going to lose one at the very start of the fight, and then it's going to be difficult to win a team fight from there. But if Puck can blink, get the jump in on Nyx Assassin, get the jump in on Storm Spirit, catch him with a coil into a call down, then that's how DK wins team fights. And I think it's very smart of them to pick that up. Mushi plays a pretty good one, and they also need something that can control the lane pretty well versus Storm Spirit. Timbersaw, not the best hero at that.
And waiting to see what Vici wants to round out their lineup with. Obviously, they're looking for some sort of a carry. The Alchemist has already been banned out. Luna, Dragon Knight, and the Lifestealer. A lot of those mid-game carries, especially the Lifestealer, I like that ban a lot out of DK. Take the option of the Nyx Bomb away from the Storm Spirit as well. And now it's just kind of up to them. Do they want to secure late-game farm, or do they want to go ahead and go straight up for something that's just going to allow them to fight that much earlier? It's going to be a clink. So they're definitely looking to capitalize on what we harped on, what we said they've been so good at, and what they've shown us time and time again is really their speciality. That's the early to mid game. They get clinks off to a good start. They've got a lot of reach again between Clockwork and Storm Spirit. This is a game they could take over, but DK has a much, much safer hero in terms of late game in the Gyrocopter. Gyro, you know, once he gets a fair amount of farm, gets his survivability up because of Flak Cannon, he can just basically 1 versus 5 so long as he has someone to keep some space between himself and the enemy. And they're going to have that with Ice Ice's Timbersaw to begin with, and they're going to have great initiation and now a great way to silence out a hero like a Storm Spirit in the Doom. So I really like DK's draft quite a lot here.
Yeah, I think the Doom is a really nice pickup. It's very good if you can initiate on Nyx Assassin or Storm Spirit, and they just need various ways to initiate the fight and counter-initiate too, because if Storm jumps in somebody, he gets Doom, the fight turns completely around. If they can manage to catch Clinks too without Death Pack, although that's going to be very, very uncommon, he is just going to fall no matter how farmed he is.
And we're ready to load in. could potentially once again be the last game of the evening. We will have 2 best-of-5s on the way in consecutive nights. Wednesday coming up tomorrow, I should say, and that'll be not quite 24 hours from now, obviously a little less, but it'll be 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The winner of this match will be matching up against Invictus Gaming in a best-of-5 to determine which team will join LGD China as Eastern representatives at our grand finals coming up in Las Vegas at CES. And I'm pretty sure, I've got to double-check, the dates are going to be January 7th through 10th. And something worth driving home. If you happen to be in the Las Vegas area and not sure, never been to an event before, wondering about tickets and all that, it's free. All you got to do is show up, man. Come on out to Caesars and come say hello. It is first come, first serve seating, obviously, as there will be limited space, but won't even be on the floor of CES. It'll actually be in Kingston HyperX's booth, which will occupy an entire ballroom of Caesars Palace. And since it's not actually on the floor, you don't need to pass CES or anything. So please come out and say hello. We would love to meet you. I'll be there along with Merlini and, of course, most of the D2L staff, and certainly 4 teams, one of which will be DK, could be, I should say, DK or VG, depending on how the winner of this match matches up against Invictus and our best-of-5 coming up tomorrow. So taking a look at the way things are panning out so far, I'll run through the lineups momentarily, but before I do that, break down these lineups and tell me who you think has the early game advantage in terms of lanes and in terms of transition power.
I think DK has slightly better picks and slightly better lanes. Timbersaw, I don't think is as strong as a Clockwork. I think Puck has a slight edge on Storm Spirit and mid. I think Vici actually loses out slightly in the tri-lane, but they're very, very minor, and something that good positioning or good observer rewards or just good movement around the map can't mitigate. As far as late game goes, I think Vici's is better just because they really only had a gyrocopter to rely on, whereas Vici has a Storm Spirit as well as the Clinks, but Doom can take them out of the fight, so take that with a grain of salt.
Horn blows. It looks like we're not going to have a lot of action early on, and the Rune will be spawning top, and picked up for free by Vici. That'll give me time to run through the lineups. Going to have Mushi taking the puck mid. No surprise to see that. Lana will be taking our Doom into the jungle. Timbersaw handled by Ice. He plays a damn good Timbersaw as well. Gyrocopter going to be farmed up by Burning with our Crystal Maiden played by MMY. At the other side of the river, ROTK using the cute little creep block trick. Gave him a nice little nudge to get him into the woods there. He'll be playing on our Clockwork. Nyx Assassin going to be handled by Fenrir. Rubik with that handy dandy set. I'm pretty sure that's Kuroki's set. I'm almost positive that's Kuroki's set. And he'll be played by FY this time. We're going to have Super taking our Storm Spirit mid. Super, an excellent Storm Spirit player in his own right. But it's really all going to depend on Siler. Needs a good start, needs to be active, needs to be able to seal the deal before that farm can really kick in for both the Doom and the Gyrocopter.
Yep, and it's going to be, I think, rather passive early game. Both teams just looking to farm out, get levels under supports. It's going to be pretty difficult for DK to kill out ROTK on top, and fairly difficult for Vici to kill out Ice on top lane.
Yep, Ice already up to level 2. Vici trying to soak what experience they can. We will have a very brief pause, and hopefully not too big of an issue, or at least not one that will take... oh, never mind. Looks like we're good to go. Someone must have dropped a mouse or headset fell off, something like that. But, taking a look, this is just how aggressive Timbersaw can play at this stage of the game just because of reactive armor. Just right up in their faces, playing without any fear at all.
Level 2 hasn't skilled Timber Chain yet, but he does have it if he needs it, or Whirling Death. He could potentially go for a kill or at least steal the creeps. I think he got experience for that Centaur too, so I'd say he's doing pretty well in this top lane. Siler doing very well too. Looks like Big Ring of Basilius. I'm not sure if he's going for early Midas or not. Too early to tell.
Very nice creep equilibrium control by Siler, keeping this push way up under his own tower. CS sitting on 5. Burning, though, doing what Burning does, which is farming freely and doing a hell of a job at it. He's got 8 CS, and mid, also a good start for Mushi as he's tallied 9 CS already to the 7, now 8 of Super, so roughly a break even all over the place. Who you think's under more pressure here? I mean, I think we both agree Vici's lineup without that hard late game carry really needs to get a lot done. But, I mean, in terms of just making things happen, do you think it's going to be on DK to make sure they don't allow a hero like Clinks to get the farm and the freedom he wants, or is it going to be just on Vici to just say, okay, we have to execute into DK before we can feel at all secure?
I think it's mostly just they can't get caught up by Doom too many times. If they get the jump on DK and he has to like panic Doom, I think they'll win the team fights. It's not like Gyrocopter getting farm is about equal to Klink's getting farm. As long as they stick together, when Klink has Orchid, he shouldn't be able to do that much damage. But really, it's down to how the team fight initiations go.
Burning, farming under his own tower. We saw the pickup there of Ice rotated into mid, but made his way back up to top. And it looks like your prediction of a relatively passive early game coming true. Lanham will be playing on the Doom, and if there's any hero who really won out a lot in the 6.79 changes of the jungle, it is Doom. He's one of the very few who can jungle just as effectively and as quickly as he always has, especially when he lucks into a Wild Wing Ripper early on. He can stack a camp and make things like this happen.
Yep. Yes, he can. And yeah, nothing too exciting going on in this early game. Mushi and Super almost dead even as CS. Oh, actually, Mushi may go for a kill.
Mushi, thought about it. Super was quite low. Only had a Tango. No bottle, no other regen. So Mushi, though, looks like would much rather prioritize being safe. He actually had an orb he could have tossed out there, too. Pretty sure that was off cooldown. But not wanting to take the chance, Temper Chain going to get Ice back to safety. Damage being poured out by Sylar. They're going to go ahead and look to get behind this tower and make life hell for our Timbersaw. Night comes, and Ice forced all the way back. Not a lot of damage being done to the tower, at least not for the moment, though.
Yep. Regen rune for Mushi, too, so he will have a very good grasp on this mid lane. Ice trying to get, or Venereer is trying to zone him out, but he just salves up and looks like he's okay. Sylar does hit really, really hard with burning arrows, too. Oh, Venereer thought he was going for an Impale there.
Not quite yet, looks like. And again, I think we've seen a couple of times when maybe in a different game they would have taken slightly more chances, Mushi in mid and then Fenrir there, but instead deciding to go ahead and play passively. Burning's got 24 CS. That's the exact same number Sylar happens to have. Has got a little bit more damage onto the tower, but Mushi sitting on 23, really winning this mid lane battle fairly well. I mean, just 5 ahead, but still 5's 5. 20 denies on the Gyrocopter, though, so robbing ROTK of a fair amount of experience. Still, he's already level 4.5.
Yeah, that is some ridiculously good farm on Gyrocopter, though. Ooh, Mushi in a little bit of trouble.
And Lanham comes out. They're going to try to follow it up. There's the coil. Mushi, a fresh 6, and they will get first blood because of it. The reaction's slow in coming. MMY was there to help out as well. But this is what makes Puck so hard to deal with, especially when you have any kind of roaming potential, which you certainly have with a Doom and certainly have with a Crystal Maiden. As soon as he hits 6, you just have to watch and be so damn careful. A coil basically means instant death for a hero like a Storm Spirit when he's not level 6. He actually just hit 6 right before he died there.
Yeah, I don't know if he didn't see that regen rune, but that was just so instrumental in them getting that kill. He like kind of ice on top.
Gonna be telekinesis back. Sylar, does he have the damage output? Timber Chain, and he's gonna try to skeleton walk him down. There's a jump from Super, did not get the vortex off, and one last arrow got the job done. Clinks cleans him up with the thinnest of margins. Still a nice pick off there.
Yeah, that was really, really close for them. They barely got that kill.
Very barely. We're going to see an invis picked up by Clark, and we'll see how bold he wants to be with it. Might actually get a little bit more forward and soak experience, though his experience gain is pretty solid. Burning now at level 6, so he's going to be able to start showing up to fights if he wants, or can just simply farm hard. I'm much more interested in Mushi, though. I want to know how quickly he wants to start getting involved in rotations and making ganks happen, and so on and so forth, especially against this guy right here. If they can get a couple of kills on Sylar, delay his Orchid a few minutes, that can make a huge difference. And actually, it's going to be a Midas pickup on Sylar, so he's going with a pure farm-to-farm approach.
Yeah, not the worst choice. I think it's perfectly fine for him to do that. Burning, is he going to get a Midas? He has 1,900 gold. Well, Mushi, is he going to get a Midas too? We can see a lot of Midas this game. Hard to predict. What's your over-under?
Midases, given there's 2 already done, I'll set it at 3.5. I think 3.5 is fair.
Yeah, I think 3.5 is pretty fair too. Sylar,
actually 4.5. 4.5. There's a Doom and a Crystal Maiden. So, yeah, I'll say 4.5 is the over/under on Midai by the time all is done.
Midasai.
Yep.
Midases.
Midases. There you go. Clinks finishes his up in the meantime. So. Burning with his on the way in full. And here in mid, Mushi just continuing to farm away. He's getting close to Blink Dagger range. Only needs about another 650 gold or so. A lot of attention now being given to him, though. Super's there. Doesn't have a lot of mana to jump with, though. And it's actually going to be a Soul Ring pickup after the Midas for Clink, so not in any particular hurry to get his Orchid up. Not rushing it or anything. And ROTK came out, unfortunately for him. Mushi able to jaunt to safety. Had some help in MMY, but a missed opportunity there for Vici.
Yep, he needs level 6 ASAP. If he's level 6, they can get an easy kill there. Ice doing pretty poorly in terms of levels 2. Both of those offlaners sitting just around that level 5 mark. Burning just still farming away. Wonder whether they're going to try and push early. But again, there's no real pressure from either team. I think each of these have equal late game. And if they think they can execute better, then they'll choose to farm it up. Or if they deem ganking the other team too risky, then they can just take the safer route and farm it up.
Well, what I think is going to end up happening if this continues and we don't see Vici put more pressure on and try to hold Mushi down, for example, try to keep him off his blink, so on and so forth. They've already got Sylar looking to get up his Orchid and looking to be a bit more scalable off of more than kills. Usually what you'll see with a lot of Clink's players is they rush the Orchid, maybe a Soul Ring comes out first, maybe an Aquila or what have you. But then it becomes all about roaming, and they either get their kills and they do okay or they don't get their kills. So I think they want a little bit more security. FY pursued out here in mid, and Coil goes down. They manage to get him, but MMY in trouble as well. There's a Doom on ROTK, and he's doing what damage he can. Here comes the jump from Super, looking to track down Mushi. That's not your jungle, brother. Going to try to jump back through the enemy, and will be able to make it with just about 350 HP.
ROTK has hooked, though.
There it is. Comes right up from behind. There's the jump from Super to secure the kill, and actually Mushi gets the kill instead. Thanks to the level death coming out from Lanham. He phase shifts the last auto attack, but phase shift only working once. So they end up trading 2 for 1.
Would have escaped. If he had, I don't know if he has lag issues, but if he like immediately moves right after phase shift, he sat in there for like maybe a quarter of a second instead of almost instantaneous, and then orbs his dodge a last attack, he can escape, but that's still asking for a lot. Mushi did come up on top in that matchup though.
Even though he didn't spend his gold, he does manage to afford his Blink Dagger nonetheless.
That's a ridiculously fast Blink Dagger. Nice from him. Yep,
10 minutes. He's sitting at 44 CS. Not quite burning level, not quite Sylar level, but quite decent farm nonetheless. But yeah, back to Sylar. I think they're going to try to scale well, but what I think is going to end up happening is it's going to feel a lot like Game 1, where there is a definite window of execution. Hang on, Mushi. Caught and phase shifting, trying to get away from it. So even though he got off to a great start, he immediately manages to give back a bunch of kills. He's 3-2. He started out 3-0, gave 2 away in about 90 seconds.
His teammates aren't really helping him out, though. He's the only one with kills in this game, and the only heroes who's assisted him is mainly Alana with 3 assists and MMY with 1. So Agitai is still trying to get levels on top desperately, almost level 6 on him, and Burning doing what Burning does, just farming one bottom with his Midas. Goldgraph still pretty heavily in favor of DK, even without a tower, and even with a 2-kill deficit.
Vici is managing to put a dent into it, though, and we can see they've actually had a 1,500 experience swing over the last couple of minutes. A lot of that due, of course, to the gold, the kills, I should say.
Super looking to jump on Ice. He is sitting a little bit low on HP, 600. It looks like Mushi is coming from behind.
And they're going to try to make something happen. Here comes Mushi, ready to counter initiate, and going to jump in. There's a 2-man coil, and the TP's there. He's going to be able to Waning Rift all 3. There goes the Dust as well. There's an Impale, though, from Fenrir to counter this out. Fenrir does end up dropping the Doom onto Super. Lives up to its name, as that will certainly doom him after the level death. Couple more ticks, and yeah, they don't have to chase him. Down he goes. And
really nice initiate, though. It really comes down to who gets a nicer initiate. He had a 2-man Blink, Coil, Waiting Rift, and then a Doom on the Storm. That's just a really easy fight for them to win.
Burning's going to go ahead and take the opportunity to push down at bottom. He has picked up a Helm of Iron Will, so looking to go with a pure farm build with the Midas straight into the Helm of the Dominator. And DK, though, getting themselves squared back away with a couple of very high priority kills up there in that top lane. And Clinks did manage to make it away, so it didn't go as well for them as they would have hoped. But nonetheless, keeping Vici on the back foot.
Yep, and Mushi has just been so active and so instrumental in DK having this early game, and I think it definitely does work best giving Mushi a very active hero like TA, like Puck, and a more passive hero like Magnus or something like a DK just doesn't really suit his style.
Fenrir and FY, under cover of smoke, making their way down the bottom lane. Might want to make something happen against Burning. Wouldn't be a bad call to make, given how big he is getting and how quickly.
Is Burning gonna get greedy? He has a ward over there, so he thinks he's safe, but there's Vendetta that he has to worry about.
Looks like he's learned his lesson. He's hanging back.
Has he?
Let's see. He wants it. He's drooling over it. Wants the gold. And, FY. Yep, got real close there. Burning runs away immediately. Good job, buddy. I've been calling you out.
He's learned his lesson.
Yeah.
After, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th game for him today.
Yep. And in each game, he's had at least one greedy death. But as much as we joke about it, obviously, he's pretty good carry. He's pretty good at Dota. So everyone allowed to make mistakes from time to time.
They're desperately trying to kill him, but they have MMY already down there. Oh, they scout out the just 2 hero. That's really bad, but Mushi can always TP in, so can Ice. This is going to be a really risky dive. I definitely don't think they should chance it. Maybe if Sylar gets a really nice creep and then can take the tower with his death pack, but still, fighting and call down and all that nonsense is just a losing recipe. Mushi and Ice will continue to pressure top, and if no one responds to them, I think that DK can just keep sitting down on bottom. Another rocket flies out on Gyrocopter, but he has his HOD now, so even if he dies, not a big loss.
5-5 in a 14-minute game, and we'll take a look. And they're actually, I was going to say, did he actually pop strafe there? Knew they had Glyph up, was surprised he did, just for that reason. But looks like they're going to try to bait some kind of action out here in mid. Slowly pecking away at it. This is something Klinks is actually pretty damn good at. Not quite as good as a Weaver, but...
ROTK.
Up at top, ROTK. Oh, wow, managing to get some damage done. He will end up dropping. Mushi's right there, eating auto attacks. Phase shifts out. Doesn't have the Waning Rift. If he had the Waning Rift, he might have survived there. But as it stands, that's a very nice double kill going the way of Super as he brings down both the Timber and the Puck at once.
Oh, nice deny by Rubik.
And, yep, there we go. Allied hero denial. So Rubik able to get the denial in mid. Both these teams bring in their A game, but Burning continues to be left largely to his own devices and continuing to just basically set root in this bottom lane. And we're going to see Super being pursued by Ice. Now doesn't have a lot of mana. Does not have much to jump with. He actually tread switched, but Ice not going to pursue it out. Down here in bottom, Sylar right on Burning's tail.
It's a really nice call down, too.
Yep.
Because he wasn't getting any support from his teammates until he goes to the T1 in mid.
So a lot of movement, and this is kind of what we expected, this laning phase to break down. I feel like there's that. Hang on, Fenrir. Lockdown following the Waning Rift. Frostbite and Nova's there. Puck actually takes the kill with the Illusory Orb. But I definitely feel like this is beginning to reach a point where Vici has that window of opportunity they have to execute through, and it's going to be in the next 10 to 15 minutes. They simply don't want DK to maintain the status quo. They need to try to take control.
And that's not necessarily true. I think right now, without the Orchid on Klinks, they can't really do that much. But once they get the Orchid on Klinks, I think that DK is going to be in a lot of trouble. And this split push, split ganking, farming thing is not going to work out too well just because Klinks is really good at dissecting that sort of play. Especially Ice will just fall.
Up at top, Ice leading the charge. He's got a whole lot of support as DK is rotated as a mass. They've got a sentry down as well in anticipation of Klinks coming to scout. ROTK going to shoot the hook and catch 2. Cogs are a little late in going down. That's going to isolate him out. Here's the call down. That's going to catch a couple. Super engaging through the back of the fight. Burning actually survives there. DK making it away with very little health. We're going to see FY pursued by Timber. Coil did go down. Sylar's there to help clean it up. Fenrir coming in now as well. There's a Vendetta death. And now Ice. Isolated out. Vici getting the job done and a triple kill for Sylar. That's exactly what they wanted and needed. That should be the Orchid done entirely. And Sylar now ready to become that force of nature. That's exactly what I was talking about. They just needed to take an engagement, take control of the map, take control of the speed of the game, and they're certainly going to be able to build upon that now that Sylar is ready to get out and moving with that Orchid done.
Yeah, that was a very nice reaction from him too. He was there like as soon as he could be, just TP, knowing that his team needs him there. And with Doom always being used on a Storm Sphere, they need as many people there as possible. Because if it's a very small engagement, like a 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, they'll just win out because of Doom. Mushi gets picked off in mid.
Yep, there he goes. And as of right now, Siler is poised to just go berserk. It's 12-11, but he's 5-0. And this game is going to be much tougher for DK to manage, and we can see that gold.
They need
graph.
Ghost Scepters up all around.
Oh,
they need one. They need one on Puck as well as Timber. I don't think CM will be able to farm it, and Gyrocopter can just BKB through it. So pretty much just Puck and Timber need Ghost Scepters. They're not that far off too. Oh, actually, Puck just spent his gold, so he's really far off. Timbersault's not that far off though.
ROTK wandering around enemy territory, looking for a hook. Not going to find one anytime soon, but you can just see the posturing of Vici totally different now. They have the map essentially cut off, and here comes Siler along the ridgeline. Level 14 already, 1,400 gold in the bank, and MMY might just get blown up for free if he comes out at all by himself, and a couple more steps might be all it takes. Siler still ducking in and out, not willing to take the chance. We'll go ahead and back out.
Yep, they have a Sentry Ward in their jungle, but not really sure where he's going to be. Siler will eat it, so now they know where he is. But yeah, they're really scared right now. And now that Orchids come out, DK has to play completely differently. And Ice even has to feel threatened even under cover his own T1 tower. Puck can go a Yules too instead of a Ghost Scepter. It's not terrible. It's not the greatest, but either one of those will do. He needs one defensive item though, surely.
Super in position, might be ready to jump on Burning. Burning's coming way too far out. FY is right there, and here we go. Burning, Vortex out, ROTK right there with him. Hooks in, following the jump in. Call down will go off, so ROTK might end up paying the price. Mushi's there to help try to get an exchange. In the meantime, Siler manages to tack on another kill. FY will be able to TP away. So you end up making it a 2-for-1 exchange, dropping the two most important heroes for DK right now in the Timbersaw and the Gyro. So as long as Vici can continue to take exchanges like this, they're going to be quite happy about it.
Yeah, they just can't stop Siler right now, and they doomed Super over and over, and he's still finding his farm too. He almost has an Orchid himself. So it's nice and all to keep Super down, but when you have a Clink just running Rampant, it's not a good trade-off. And there's not really too much they could have done. I suppose maybe just be better prepared with positioning and sentries. But yeah, right now, Siler is just poised to run away with this game, and they can do Roshan very easily too.
Siler sitting at 11,000 net worth as of right now, and that's ahead of Burning by more than 3,000 already, and has yet to die. Just continuing to do what Clinks does, which is run around and be a little fiery terror, going right to work on him. And just look at this, the amount of damage output he already has. Silenced out, and DK is going to have to do something to get this back on track soon. They're trying to bait something out up here on top, but they're going to end up knowing no one's home as soon as Roshan drops here in about the next 10 seconds.
Yep, and that will be Super's Orchid. I believe he has it. Nope, just a couple 100 gold away. Yeah, DK. Yeah, this is what is wrong with Midas Gaming. Like, if they just get mid-game items like Orchids, and you're the only guy in your team with any sort of farm, even if you are super farm, your team's just going to fall around you.
Yep. And Vici, going to trade a tier 1 for a tier 1. DK obviously would have liked something better, but in that situation, really not a whole lot more they could do confidently. Looks like Vici, though, going to continue to bring the fight to them. Just going to rotate right back into the Radiant jungle, probably go grab the creep wave and try to force a fight.
Mm-hmm.
That will be Super's Orchid of his own up, so even more abilities to just shut them down. Blink Dagger is actually done on Clinks. I don't know that I've ever seen that, a blink on a Clinks.
The new hot thing to get after MLG.
Yep. But, yeah, I'm trying to think if I've seen it as a caster. Definitely saw it a couple of other places, but as an actual caster. First time I've had a chance to see it. So, Siler getting into position and just about ready to make DK pay. BKB not far from Burning. If they could just hold the line a little bit longer, get up a BKB, maybe try to take a nice AoE engagement. As you said during the draft, so much of this comes down to initiation, but the range and the reach on Super and ROTK makes that a battle that's tough to win for DK.
Yeah, they just need to get enough damage on Burning so they can kill him through the BKB, which is not that difficult because Clinks can do a ton of damage to Burning even while he is in big yellow form. So Super should prioritize either vortexing him or Puck, and then after that it should be a matter of everyone just falling after that.
Vici takes down the first of the tier 2s. And now going to go right back to farming. Take a look at the goal graph. We can see it's heading pretty heavily in favor of Vici, but still well within reach. About 5,000 to the advantage of Vici. The experience, though, is where it's really beginning to get out of hand. And we can see Clinks and Super both top-heavy in that regard. And really, those are going to be the two that have to lead the way. And you can see DK unwilling to split up as more than 4 or less than 4 or 5 at this point.
Yeah, and I think it was a really smart idea by Vici to give the Aegis to Storm Spirit too, because he needs to catch up on farm. And Clinks is very unlikely. He's unlikely is going to die just because Storm Spirit is going to do like every single. Clinks has like 1,500 HP with Strain Treads and his Death Pact, and he has a Blink Dagger to boot.
Pretty sure that. Oh, hang on. They're going to manage to catch Sylar, silenced out. And Orchid it out. Now they're going to come in. ROTK eating a lot of damage right off the bat, though. He's down, as is Sylar. We're going to see Super engaging into what's most likely a lost fight. That's the Aegis gone just like that. So Vici, with a very costly misstep here, ice. Yeah, they're actually going to get a triple kill for Burning, and FY didn't get out when he could have. What a disaster.
And Sylar bought back, too.
What a disaster. What in the hell happened, Vici? That was a lost fight from the moment it started. And that's what they can't afford to do. The AoE output on the side of DK is absolutely monstrous. You have excellent single target damage, and the Clinks, and to an extent, Super on the Storm Spirit, but just a huge misstep, and just like that, a game that looked like they were poised to run away with is right back in hand.
Yeah, I think that Mushi had really good decision-making, knowing that, or taking the risk, rather, that Clockwork wasn't there to counter-initiate, or I think they maybe had vision on the top side of the map, but just he saw an opportunity, capitalized on it, and it was really just his blink initiation. If he didn't blink initiate there, none of that would have happened. If he hesitated for even 1 second, then then Sylar would have been able to escape. Mushi died dead out there, though.
Yep, Clinks blows him up. Double damage on Sylar. And they're looking for immediate payback. They need it. Sylar, as you said, bought back. They don't want to end up wasting that. Getting one
They
little...
don't have the Aegis anymore, though. They can maybe take the T2, but other than that, it's going to be asking for a little bit too much.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And we can see Vici being forced back. The Tornado and Chakra makes it so hard for them to be able to come into range whatsoever. Very nice anti-push capabilities. ROTK's up on the high ground, though, and he's looking for a hook. He's level 11, so has level 2 hook at that. We'll go ahead and rotate to the top tier 2, though, and this looks like a much more likely target. They will be forced to pop the glyph. Still afraid to come out of the base, at least too far to try and contest this, so down it goes. Vici trying to make sure that even after that misstep down there in the Radiant safe side of the jungle, they're not going to lose their stranglehold on this game.
Yeah, and DK still has to be very careful in how they take engagements. They're up in kills right now, but that is they're not definitely ahead in momentum, and Vici still controls the map with the long-range initiate from Super as well as ROTK, and even Clinks at this point could just blink and initiate on any one of those heroes. So DK still has to play very carefully and just look for very smart initiates, for example, on Clinks when he's separated from the rest of his team, Storm Spirit when he's out, and they can take a fight in the next few minutes too. And securing this next Roshan is going to be really, really important for VG and DK.
It's going to be a relatively short Roshan respawn, about 3 minutes from now. So only a randomized respawn timer of less than a minute. But Vici withdrawing to their side of the map. Looks like DK's ready to push. Really liking the way their team felt in that last engagement. Just comes down to what they can get accomplished coming out of Mushi. And that's really what is becoming evident. When Mushi makes a good play, DK takes a big win. When he doesn't, they end up hurting.
He has a ghost finally, so he's not as vulnerable as he was before.
And the homing missile actually will go back and connect on Fenrir. DK continuing to hang around, at least for the moment. But taking a look at Burning's inventory, he's got 1,100 gold aside from
Where are
his...
their sentries? They need sentries very badly too. Like Nick Sessa can just run up with Vendetta, and although he's probably not going to take that risk because he expects DK to take sentries, that's not a chance that DK should take.
They
have
actually...
a gem actually on Lanham.
I was going to say, yeah, I was looking around, saw the gem on Lanham, was looking to see if they had any sentries or dust at all. But doesn't look like they need it.
Just sack for Burning.
And Siler finishes his BKB, so his survivability going up considerably, especially against this team.
Siler's been playing very well. Aside from that one death, though, he has just farmed considerable amounts. 7, 1, and 2, and just so many kills. And most of them just solo kills, too, aside from that one cleanup near the T1 on top.
Well, at this point, though, DK is beginning to build damage on Burning. His survivability, he is going to be spotted out, but he has enough survivability, and that's kind of what I was talking about. You know, whoa, this is never good news. Never, ever good when you see a couple of players on a professional team both disconnected once. But nonetheless, his survivability is plenty high enough between the BK... Oh, that's just great news, let me tell you. Between the BKB and the Helm and the Dominator, I mean, he's sitting on 17 armor, he's sitting on a 1,300 HP, and I mean, he's certainly not underleveled by any stretch of the imagination, not the highest level on the map, but one of the. So his natural survivability is going to be enough to keep him safe in a lot of these same situations. So now that they're beginning to build damage on him, Clinks is excellent, but Clinks, other than BKB, which is a magic immunity survivability sort of an item, he's not all that tanky. I mean, Death Pact makes a pretty big difference, but the rest of the team especially, too, the Rubik in particular, they're going to be very susceptible to flat cannon damage. And again, all that AoE potential we saw rear its head down in this engagement in the Radiant Jungle. So I just really worry for Vici Gaming. They've had an excellent early game and transition into the mid game, but we're beginning to reach that point that we saw last game where maybe if they don't execute within the confines of what they're able to do right here and right now instead of pushing for a theoretical late game, they could end up finding themselves one mistake away from giving away yet another game. And it looks like DK is beginning to reconnect. So as they make their way back in, once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of the broadcast here today. Been a long day, but a fun day. And the winner of this, again, advancing to a best-of-5 showdown against Invictus Gaming coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope you'll tune in and join myself, Merlini, Conrad, our producer, and everyone else here on the D2L staff for that. Really looking forward to that. And, of course, the Western Finals here in our bubble race will be on Thursday. That'll be at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So no matter what, hopefully over the next couple of days, be a lot of DotA on time for you. So while we wait on DK to join back in, why don't you go ahead and let folks know, Merlini, since this could potentially be our last game of the night. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have loved your insight and analysis, a former professional player's point of view, would love to find a way to tap into that. Why don't you drop the deets and let them know just how they can begin to access your knowledge elsewhere.
You can follow me for updates on Twitter and Facebook /MerliniDota, as well as YouTube, where I release videos daily, youtube.com/MerliniDota. And I also have my website up and running. Not too much content on there. Social media is better.
There you go. Take it from Merlini. Social media is better. How's your new project going, by the way? Saw a pretty funny tweet from our good friend, our mutual friend, LD, saying that apparently some fan left a comment saying they really loved your Mad Rares videos because they just do the opposite of what you tell them and they seem to come out ahead. Is that the general state of things? Are you doing like a lot of those like financial writers do, where you tell people what to bet on and you keep track and how much they
Yeah, I try to. It depends on how much competitive I watch. Some of the matches, like, I don't know too much. Like Southeast Asian Dota, I almost know nothing about. Australian Dota, Korean Dota. But West and East, I've actually have a pretty good track record. I think I'm up like almost 200 rares.
Oh, yeah,
something
dude.
close to that. Yeah, so, I mean, it's respectable.
That's
But I mean, a
awesome.
lot of people don't have time to watch enough competitive, and I mean, I'm watching competitive as I'm casting too. So
Right.
all in all, it's nice to get people interested in competitive too, just because it makes the game so much more exciting when you have something on the line. But at the same time, it does develop bad habits now and then.
once in a while. You pull the the Pete Rose, man? Do you bet on matches that we cast together? Or do we have to worry about
Yeah,
bias?
but I mean, I don't. It's not like I'm coaching the team or anything like that, right?
Oh,
So,
not like you're coaching the team. Okay.
yeah.
Just coaching the viewers into who subtly.
Bernie, go here. Bernie,
Exactly.
Back right now.
Exactly. You're corrupting yourself, my friend. You're bringing down your good name. But speaking of your good name, it's been out there quite a bit, my friend. Why don't you tell us while we wait for everyone to join back in? I'm sure there are a lot of viewers who would love to hear you talk about what you've done over the last couple of weeks. You've been very busy. You were at MLG, unless I'm completely off my gourd.
Yeah, I started with MLG and then casting D2L as well as Starletter. I try and stream here and there, but there's just been so many tournaments here and there. I'm looking at like Dota 2 Lounge right now, and there's like 10, 12 games listed right now. So, I mean, competitive matches just run from sun up to sundown.
Yep. And especially if you're us. I don't know. Let's see. We started casting at 9 a.m. this morning, and I want to say I got into the office probably 10, 15 minutes till 8 a.m. this morning, and Conrad was already here and setting up plates and such. So it's been quite a long day for us, and really hope we're able to get our missing 2 players back in, because we would. That's the thing, and you know, waiting's kind of a pain, especially after a long day like this. But what's a bigger pain is seeing a series come to an end because 2 players can't connect to a game and that kind of thing. That's just miserable. So. We'll hopefully be able to find out what the issue happens to be, and we'll get a report in on that sometime in the very near future. But why don't you give us a rundown of what happened at MLG? I mean, obviously, I'm sure a very special experience for everyone involved. Wished very much I could have been there. Unable to do so, though, was traveling elsewise. But, yeah, what was it like for you, my friend?
It was pretty exciting. I think the most exciting part was just how the underdogs pulled through. I mean, everyone had favored Alliance and Na'Vi. They were top 2 at TI3 and pretty much just dominated every single tournament up until then. And we had, I think, 9 total teams there. And Sigma and Speed were kind of there at the last minute. DK flew out from China, and everyone was like, well, Alliance and Na'Vi are probably still going to win. And lo and behold, come playoff time, there is only Na'Vi there, and they actually drop in the semifinals. So it's DK beating out Na'Vi there. And DK actually beat out Alliance and Na'Vi very convincingly in the group stage. So they did really well there. And then Speed just came out of nowhere after a 0-3 day on the first day. Came back to win all 5 of their games, including a win versus DK for the very last match of the day. And they went into the playoffs, and they actually took down DK in a pretty epically long series, too. So I think it's nice for competitive Dota that other teams do stand a chance against the Western and Eastern powerhouses.
Oh, absolutely. It's really speaks to the parity of things. And, you know, I'm not to take anything away from a team like Speed, but that's part of the reason these major patch changes do come in all at once instead of just like little tweaks here, little tweaks there. I think that there is an element to be spoken of in that. It creates a certain amount of parity for a time and allows the teams that are willing to put in the time to adapt the quickest to really get a leg up and to become competitive and to find their way into the competitive scene. And I'm like you. It makes me so happy. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like Speed is full of a bunch of no-names. I've casted every one of those guys as part of other teams. But nonetheless, just to see a new organization, newer name in the eyes of most of the fan base, to see them do as well as they have is truly remarkable. Really wish we could have had them as part of the D2L season. Of course, we were kind of locked in with our team roster earlier than most people realize. So enough about that, though. Looks like we're ready to get underway. And looking ahead, we're coming up on 30 minutes here. How do you feel about both of these teams and what their goals and aspirations, what their dreams should be, Merlini, as we head towards the late game portion of our second game here?
DK just needs to not get picked off by Clinks, not give them free kills, and Vici just needs to get kills with Clinks if the opportunity presents itself. If not, just control the map and do Roshan and just keep farming up. They will have a Lingus up on Storm Spear. I think I would have preferred a BKB just because you can get level death and then doomed. Or any other variety of items, Yules or Force Staff. They also need to farm out Ghost Scepters on the side of DK. Vici, they are in a pretty good position to take the game. They have 3,500 gold lead. They just can't have disastrous fights like that where Siler just gets caught off without his team to back him up.
Burning is definitely becoming a liability. He's got his Demon Edge up already, and depending on what he wants to grab, an MKB, or excuse me, not an MKB, a Eagle Song on the way to a Butterfly could very much be an option. Just keep the naked Demon Edge there for pure damage purposes. Nope, not going to be the case. He will go straight up MKB. So just wanting to build pure damage right out the gate.
that he needs Butterfly though, because a very large source of damage from Vici is physical with the right clicks from Storm Spirit, as well as Clinksy needs a survivability even during BKB so he doesn't get burst down. His BKB is gonna get fairly low if Vici keeps taking on engagements. As far as late game goes, I think I would have to give the edge to Vici just because they have better map control with that. If, for example, Storm Spirit gets a sheep or even Clinks gets a sheep, they pretty much can starve DK until then, and those deaths late game are going to be so important. So I think even on even farm, Vici has slightly better late game just because they're not forced to 5-man and stick together like DK will be.
DK moving. That's 5, as you had mentioned, looking to make something happen. And Vici, I mean, they're going to continue to farm up. I still really, I mean, as good as Siler's Clinks is going to be, I worry a lot about Burning getting a little bit too far ahead. I mean, just the way he works, the power of Flat Cannon alone. And they certainly have a fair amount of lockdown to deal with the Clinks. I mean, Clinks with his BKB makes that a little bit more of a complicated matter now. But as you mentioned, they're going to be able to doom Super so long as they're able to get on top of him. The Clockwork's always going to be a liability. But if they're just able to survive the initial onslaught from Siler, and once they build enough damage on the Gyrocopter, they're going to be in great shape. But they're going to try to go ahead and take control now. We roll past 30 minutes, and Roshan number 2 respawns, and DK is in no way in any shape to get over there and try to challenge this.
Yeah, Siler is just blowing Roshan up so quickly, and that is one of the huge benefits about playing Clinks, though, or about having a Clinks on your lineup. You just almost always have Roshan control, similar to Ursa.
Super once again takes the Aegis. We're going to see DK smoked up, and they might get a couple here in mid. ROTK going to be spotted out. There's the Nova. Cogs go down. Force Staff gets into safety. They can't engage through it, so they're forced to pull back. Homing missile will not quite connect, but looks like they want to force a fight, and now might be the time. We see Siler split away from them, and they're trying to take stock. It's so hard when you're up against the Clinks. No idea where he's going to be the most of the time. Just saw a ping.
They see him on
actually.
bottom.
Yeah, they actually just pinged him out. Oh, there's the ward. That's how. Walked right by it. Super joins up with him. He is going to go ahead and skeleton walk back to safety, though.
Yep, they have a gem, and they're just waiting for Siler to make another mistake and walk into him, but he wisens up and takes the river instead of going backsiding from behind. They can kill Super twice, though, with a Blink Silence from Mushi to kill him the first time and then a Doom to kill him during his Aegis. Super has to be very, very careful.
Siler going to go ahead and rotate over. Takes a look at the Ancient stack and decides, go ahead and take one.
Oh, they see
push.
Super. They see Super right now.
Yep, in range of the ward, and they're going to see... Oh, I don't know if they saw that smoke or not, but they're definitely withdrawing quickly.
Rocket spot on 3 heroes. DK has to get out. Their position has been revealed.
Siler, Death Packs, and Ursa could not ask for a better creep, sitting on 2,000 HP. With that, and he is level 18, so level 3 Death Pact, pretty strong stuff. And DK just continuing to try and outposition him, a bit like a ballet, just moving around, hoping that their opponent's going to end up missing a step. And up, actually starting to get a little bit of lag, which is always unfortunate. Been pretty lag-free most of the night, but starting to see a little bit of server hiccups so far, though. Vici may be ready to try to push here in this bottom lane.
Yeah, Burning is getting to that point where he is just going to be so beastly. And they don't have any... Oh, actually, they have one Ghost Scepter on Clockwork, but no one else has one. Oh, wait, no, Rubik has one too, so they're actually well prepared for that. And we see a lot of Ghost Scepters on both teams, and after the BKB goes down, who has the edge? Yeah, I still say it's about even both sides, too. So, yeah, it really is coming down to engagement. Who can get the jump on who? Can they pick off an important hero like Mushi before he gets his spells off?
And here we go. Vici continuing to move about. Burning's way out front. Needs to be careful. Going to be jumped upon. This is what you had to worry about. Impale's there, and will they be able to blow him up? They will. He drops. They're going to try to clean this fight up quickly. Siler laying into Landham gets the kill there as well. Immediate buyback from Burning. They pop the Lincolns on Super, and he's going to BKB and try to pursue them out. Super making a run for it. They're not going to get anything out of that. So they end up...
need Force Staffs. They don't have any Force Staffs to save him. So Burning, they can just BKB and BKB rush down Burning, and they can't really do anything about it.
MMY, close to a 4-staff at this point. Might be a little late in the coming, though. As the last outer tier tower DK had remaining does end up dropping. And they're rattling their saber down mid, trying to use the spam to at least buy some time. Burning might be regretting that MKB pickup. A butterfly might have been a little bit better suited.
Yeah, I think it definitely would have been better suited. I don't know if it would have allowed him to live through that, but it certainly would have been closer because MKB gives you no defensive capabilities.
And for the moment, Vici will go ahead and withdraw. Following that engagement, we can see the gold beginning to reach pretty epic proportions in favor of Vici, getting near 10,000 gold now. The experience has actually been in 5-digit territory for quite some time. And Siler there exposes himself. There's going to be an impale. It's off the mark. They're going to have super jump on Burning, and Burning once again will be focus fired down. And Ice. Yep. Ice. Trying to get away. Fenrir's there to follow up with the impale. Here comes Siler. And down he goes. Both heroes down for a while. Storm actually manages to track down a kill on Crystal Maiden as well. So this should be a free tier 3 as both heroes, all 3 heroes I should say. Nope. Crystal Maiden will buy back, but Burning certainly cannot. And Timbersaw, well, can't now. Buys back to try and extend this game, but don't know what good it's going to do them. And continuing to hold the line, but pretty sure Vici could just kind of have their way with this tier 3 now. The pure damage output out of Clinks when he has Strafe available is just monstrous. And there's going to be a nice coil. Can they follow it up? Impale on Ice. There's going to be super vortexing him back. Lanham caught up by ROTK. Cogs didn't go down. They're still unable to get any kill but the Nyx Assassin. Timber drops after the buyback. Now Lanham's in trouble. Got off the Doom, but don't know that it's going to matter. As we'll see, the Aegis popped. He'll be happy to come back up fighting. Burning's going to be back up momentarily. ROTK forced to back. And Super jumps his way to safety. And looks like they will go ahead and withdraw entirely, at least for a bit. DK hell-bent on extending this game.
Yeah, FY has Doom in his arsenal too, so that's going to be a pretty easy engagement for Vici if DK tries to contest in the next couple of minutes. They don't even have the T1 tower in mid. Vici is still no pressure on them. They have the better late game, and this is much better for them than last game. They drafted a lot better for the. They pretty much play the exact same style as last game, except they have better late game. So Vici, I think, learned a lot from their mistakes from the first game, and with the next Aegis and Roshan too, they can either get both a Storm 1 and 1 2. Claims they should be able to kill Burning one more time, and then the game should be over from there. Burning, he just does not have enough ability right now. He doesn't have any BKB anti-BKB engagements from his team too, whereas Vici, they have the Clockwork hookshot, and they can really just jump on DK and counter the BKB engage from DK. Like if Mushi blinks in with Coil, Waning Rift, Elusive Orb, they can just BKB and turn around, but he can't really BKB through the Vortex. He's already taking too much damage past them, and Saddle will still be beating on him through BKB. So Vici will win these next engagements if they get a decent initiate. But it's pretty simple. Just jump in on Burning and just focus him down with Siler and pop your BKB.
Really no reason for Vici to do much but what they're doing, which is run his 5, smoke up, look for a pick. They have total map control and ready to just take this game in hand and force us to our third best of 3 series that goes the distance. And DK was pushed to the distance and pushed to the brink in game 1. Now Burning going to be jumped on. That'll be that. He's down. No hope of a buyback. He's down for 64 seconds. Down goes the Timber, and would expect the GGs to be coming out sometime very soon.
Yeah, Vici's play has been really clean recently, or pretty clean. Their early game is just phenomenal, and they don't make that many mistakes in mid game either. I mean, aside from that one fight, Vici played a very, very exceptional game here, and their draft complemented their playstyle very well. And DK, it's like they didn't really get too much from their support picks too. Like Lanham, I think they got a lot from Lanham, but Ice and MMY didn't really do that much this game. CM's not that good in a farm fest, especially when they have BKBs, when they have a Clockwork who can initiate on you, Nyx Assassin too. But Nyx Assassin and Rubik are still very, very useful because they are able to get the jump on DK, and you can't just BKB through those stuns, whereas you can BKB through Frostbite. So I think DK needs to evaluate their draft or change their playstyle, because Vici knows exactly what DK is going to do.
Mushi going to be caught out as well. And Siler continues to just pad the stats, sitting at 12-1 now. And Vici playing to their strengths. We talked about it during the draft, whether they were going to really play to their potential and what they do well as a team, or if they're going to try to beat DK at their own game. I think this definitely represents the former, taking a mid-game approach and rolling it up into an impressive late-game win. Continuing to pile up the kills, but really all over but the crying at this point. Burning's up, but one set of racks down, only a matter of time before a hook finds him or something along those lines. And we'll see a Doom onto him. Super's there to try and pursue him out. He'll jump right onto him. There's the Vortex. Siler rushes him down. Land him down as well. And Vici ready to clean this up. Ice, ice, ice. Hooked upon as Burning calls the GG. So once again, coming into play, we knew we would see some top-notch Dota today, my friend. Third time today, we see a series go the distance. 29-17, the final kill score as DK is pushed to the brink. Vici battles back. Our definite last game coming up in just a moment, but for sure, an excellent showing out of Vici, and what a way to bounce back after a tough loss in Game 1.
I think they can just go with tried and true, just play the same way they did in Game 1 and Game 2, and just make sure that your draft is well suited for the late game. And unless DK pulls out something different, Vici will be in a very good position to advance into the playoffs.
Very much agreed. Taking a look at our standout performers, 14-1, obviously. Siler, a pretty big contributor, to put it mildly, accounting for just about 20, just about half of Vici's 29 kills amassed throughout that entire game. Was involved in 19 of those 29. Storm Spirit played by Super, 5-4-15, nothing outstanding, but was where he needed to be when he needed to be there. ROTK had some good hooks here and there. Largely, though, just not a lot of mistakes. The word Ben used, which I think is applicable, is tight. It's very tight. Not a lot of sloppy play that time around. Not a lot of opportunities for DK to capitalize and take a lead of their own. Again, 17-29, the final kill score, 39 minutes, 41 seconds. Official game time. Game 3's on the way. I'm your host there in AC Chambers. Thanks so much, guys. It's been a fun day, a long day, and now we know definitively it'll be our last game coming up for Ben and myself. Of course, thanks to you for making the broadcast possible. Without you guys, wouldn't be a thing. And we're just about done with the early stages of our bubble race playoffs now. All that's going to be left following this third game will be the grand finals of each group stage, or each side, I should say, of the bubble race playoffs. The West and the East. The East will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the West will be on Thursday, kicking off at 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in for both of those. West already said it'll be Fnatic who beat Na'Vi. I would dare say upset Na'Vi today, meeting up against Team Liquid after a really thrilling best of 3 game catch. We'll be catching the live sometime soon. And this, of course, going to be quite a thrilling best of 3 as well that has gone the distance. So really happy to have everyone aboard. We'll get to Game 3 on the way in just a moment. Stick with us. The conclusion of the day here on the HyperX D2L on the way. We'll be right back.